In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a graph in Google Sheets. Let's start with this data table. First thing, let's put borders on this, just to get in the habit. There, and let's center all these words and numbers. There. Before we get to the graph, let's compute the speed for each of these rows. We type an equation by typing equals. That's how Google knows we're doing an equation. And speed is distance over time. So click on the distance divided by the time. There it is. Now, rather than retyping that equation 6 or 7 times, let's just copy the formula by doing a fill down. Move the cursor to the lower right corner, click, hold, drag. There are the speeds. Let's get an average value of the speeds. We can have Google do this for us. Type equals, and if you start typing average, there are built-in functions for Google. I don't know what these top 3 are. Let's do just average. Now Google's waiting for you to tell it what numbers to average. Let's average these numbers. We'll get down to that last one. Close parentheses. There. So according to Google, the average of these speed values is 0.406. That number is going to come up in a few minutes. Okay, now let's graph distance versus time with time on the x-axis. 2 things you have to know. One is that you have to have the columns next to each other, so we're going to have to copy and paste them. The second thing is that the first variable is the x-axis variable. So let's copy time, Apple C I just did. There it is. Let's copy the distance column. Command C copies it. There. Time is the first variable, so that will go on the x-axis. To make a graph, select the numbers, not the letters and words. You can't graph letters and words. Go to Insert and Chart. Graph is a type of chart. Insert, Chart. This is all similar in Excel, by the way, if you're using Excel. We don't want any of these. We want just the points. Let's go to Chart Types. That's called a scatter. They have it. Yep, just the points right there. Click on that. Insert that. Let's scroll over. I don't know why that's so far to the right. There. Okay. Now the first thing we want to do is label the axes. One of the few things about Google Sheets that's not intuitive, you just have to know this, is to edit this, you have to go to the upper right corner, click on the graph there, and then click this downward arrow, Advanced Edit. You'll be doing that a lot if you graph. Let's go down to axes here. The horizontal axis. That is time. We put the units in parentheses, time in seconds. Okay. Now let's do the left vertical axis. See time in seconds there. The left vertical would be distance. That's in meters in parentheses. Let's update that. Now you may ask, what is this dot doing there? This data point that's not on the axes? This is not a data point. This is for the legend. We're going to ignore that for now. Let's get the title of the graph. So back to the upper right corner, click, downward arrow, Advanced Edit. And for titles of graphs, I don't like being creative. Some teachers do. For me, it's always safe to do the y-axis versus the x-axis and then say something about the situation. So I would call this distance versus time for, and then let's just say this is a ball rolling downhill. Update. There. Okay, we're ready to get a best fit line for those points. Let's go back to Advanced Edit. And we want a trend line. It's near the bottom of this whole thing. Way near the bottom. There it is, trend line. There's different types. We're just going to do linear. We'll do curves later in the year. Linear trend line, there it is. Now we want an equation. The equation is below trend line in label. There, label use equation. And there it is. I'm going to update this. Now this is an equation of a line written over 2 lines, so it might not look familiar, but this is in y equals mx plus b form. This is y equals 0.427x plus negative 0.166. It's a line whose slope is 0.427, and the y-intercept is negative 0.166. Notice that the slope is 0.427, and I don't know if you've learned yet in your class, but the slope of a distance time graph is speed. So according to the graph, the average speed of this motion is 0.427, not the value we had over here. It's not 0.406. The 0.427 meters per second is a better value. And the reason is when you do a best fit trend line, this is, for example, is a bit of an outlier, and the line knows that, so it doesn't take that into account when making the slope. Whereas when you just average these speeds, you're giving them all equal weight. So one of these could be a terrible value, but it gets equal weight with the average. So if you were asked to report the average speed for this set of distance time points, you would report 0.427 meters per second, not 0.406 meters per second. Okay, let's see about pasting this into a Word document and Google document. If you want to paste this into a Word document, there's a bit of an issue. First, let's copy, and if you saw any of my previous videos, you know that you cannot select copy here, at least not on my computer. So click it and then do the keyboard shortcut Command-C, which I'm doing now, though you can't see it. If you go to Word, Word will not let you paste that in. Not using the mouse command and also not using Apple V, which I'm doing right now. Will not let you. However, if we copy this graph, Command-C, we can paste it into, that was from before, you can paste this into a Google Doc. I don't know what this means, but I'm just going to click this. Once it's in a Google Doc for some annoying reason, you can copy this, and now you can paste it into a Word document. I have no idea why it works that way. We can resize this too. So the moral again, if you want to paste a Google Sheets document, a graph into a Word document, you must first copy and paste it into a Google Doc, then you can go from Google Docs into Microsoft Word. Thank you for watching.